From the real reason Bonnie stopped playing with Woody to the disturbing truth about Mr. Potato Head having a hive mind, today we're breaking down 10 more hidden things you didn't notice in Toy Story. But first, if Andy's goodbye still makes you cry, drop a cowboy hat emoji. And if you grew up with these films, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Number 1. Bonnie didn't betray Woody. She just made the same choice Andy did. Everyone blames Bonnie for abandoning Woody. But here's the detail most people miss. In Toy Story 3, Bonnie bonds with Woody before she ever meets Jessie. At that point, he's her favorite. She carries him home in her backpack. She plays with him that same night. She loves him. But then she gets Jessie. And here's what changes everything. Andy grew up with Woody as his only cowboy. He had nothing to compare him to. But Bonnie had both, a cowboy and a cowgirl, side by side. And she connected with Jessie more. That's not betrayal. That's a little girl doing exactly what Andy did, choosing the toy that felt most like her. Andy chose the cowboy. Bonnie chose the cowgirl. Neither of them was wrong. And Woody, of all toys, should understand what it feels like to be someone's favorite. He just didn't expect to find out what it felt like to not be anymore. Number 2, Toy Story 4 has a timeline mistake Pixar hoped nobody would notice. Here's a weird detail hiding right at the start of Toy Story 4. The film opens with Andy looking back on his childhood, one last emotional montage of his memories with his toys. And both Jessie and Buzz appear in those memories. But wait, Jessie was never one of Andy's original toys. She didn't enter his life until Toy Story 2, when he was already much older. And Buzz only arrived partway through the first film, long after Andy's earliest childhood moments. So how are they both showing up in memories that look like they're from when Andy was very young? There are two possible explanations. Either it's an intentional emotional montage, not meant to be taken as literal memory, just a love letter to the whole franchise, or Pixar quietly made a timeline error and hoped the emotion of the moment would carry people past it. Either way, once you notice it, you can't unsee it. And now you'll think about it every single time that scene plays. Number 3, Woody was almost the villain, and the film almost had a completely different title. The Toy Story you love almost didn't exist. In the earliest version of the film, Woody wasn't a cowboy hero. He was a creepy wooden ventriloquist puppet. And he wasn't the protagonist. He was the villain. Calculating, manipulative, mean. Buzz wasn't the spaceman we know either. He was a small action figure in a red suit, with a much simpler design and a much darker story. The film was even going to be titled after Woody's most cutting line to but the team realized the film had no soul. The story wasn't working, so they made a series of decisions that changed everything. Moving the story out of Andy's room, creating Sid as a genuinely menacing villain, building Pizza Planet to expand the world, but the single decision that saved the entire film, they gave Woody a real fear. Not anger, not cruelty, fear. Specifically, the fear of being forgotten. That one change transformed him from a villain into someone we recognized. Someone insecure and scared in a way we've all felt. And the moment that fear became the heart of the story, everything else clicked into place. One of the greatest animated films ever made almost never existed, and it was saved by asking one simple question: what is Woody afraid of? Number 4, the new Toy Story 5 trailer is a direct attack on big tech, and it's brilliant. The first Toy Story 5 trailer just dropped, and the line that stopped everyone cold is this one: toys are for play, but tech is for everything. The premise? Bonnie gets a tablet, and the toys watch her disappear into a screen, completely glued, completely checked out. Their entire mission in the film becomes getting her back, and the green T-Rex's reaction to seeing a child glued to a screen? Oh no, extinction again. But here's why this is bigger than a Pixar movie. This is Disney and Pixar directly taking on the tech industry. The iPad as the easy button, screen time replacing boredom, and boredom is where creativity lives, where imagination comes from, where friendships get built and executive function gets developed. The toys aren't just fighting to be played with, they're fighting for something the film's creators clearly believe is disappearing, the kind of childhood where you're bored enough to invent something. Pixar built their entire legacy on imagination, and now they're making a film about what happens when imagination gets replaced. If they pull this off, Toy Story 5 won't just be a movie, it'll be a statement. Number 5, the perfect ending for Toy Story 5 already exists, and it would break everyone. Here's the ending Toy Story 5 needs to have, and once you hear it, you'll realize nothing else would feel right. We already know the film involves Bonnie losing interest in the toys because of technology, but what if by the end, Bonnie or her mom comes up with a solution? Give the toys to Andy. Andy has graduated from college by now, he's married, and he's expecting his first child. Think about what that means. The toys that Andy grew up with, that he handed to Bonnie with so much love, coming back to a new child, his child, being loved all over again by the kid of the person who first loved them. The story wouldn't just end, it would come full circle. The first frame of Toy Story 1 is a child playing with Woody. The last frame of Toy Story 5 would be a different child, Andy's child, doing exactly the same thing. everything. Woody wouldn't be forgotten, he'd be passed forward. If Pixar does this, there will not be a dry eye in any theater on Earth, and honestly, they know it. Number 6. Jessie is getting a new owner in Toy Story 5, and the details are already leaking. A leaked image from Toy Story 5 has revealed something fans are already arguing about, and for good reason. A new character named Blaze has been introduced. She's a girl who loves horses and cowboys. According to the leaks, Jessie and Bullseye end up at her house, and Woody and Buzz have to go rescue them. Here's why this split the fandom immediately. Some fans are upset. The toys keep getting separated. It keeps happening. Why put Jessie through another owner storyline when she already had Emily? But here's the other way to look at it. Blaze isn't Emily. Emily grew up and let Jessie go, not out of cruelty, but because she grew out of her. Blaze is described as someone whose favorite toys are exactly Jessie and Bullseye. For the first time, Jessie might get an owner who doesn't just love her, but chooses her specifically over everything else. That's not a sad arc. That's the arc Jessie deserved since Toy Story 2. The question is whether Pixar will actually let her keep it this time. Number 7. 4 hidden details in Toy Story. 3 most people completely missed. Detail number 1, the inside-out connection. When Woody escapes to the rooftop at Sunnyside, look down at the playground below. There's a smiley face playset on the ground. That same playset appears later in Riley's subconscious in Inside Out. The same object, 2 different films, 1 Pixar universe. Detail number 2, the Pixar short hidden in Bonnie's backpack. When Bonnie finds Woody and stuffs him in her backpack, look at the design on the bag, a small bee. That is the exact same bee from the Pixar short film, The Adventures of Wally B, one of Pixar's earliest animated films from 1984, hidden in a backpack. Detail number 3, Lightning McQueen in the daycare. As the children run back into the playroom at Sunnyside, one kid is wearing a shirt with the number 95 and a lightning bolt. That's not a random sports reference. That is Lightning McQueen's number from the Cars franchise. Detail number 4, Studio Ghibli in the toy chest. While Bonnie plays with Woody and her other toys, look at what's leaning against her toy chest. A plushie from My Neighbor Totoro, a Studio Ghibli film. Pixar and Ghibli have a long friendship, and they quietly honored it in the background of a child's bedroom. 4 details, all hiding in the same film. Most people caught 0. Number 8, Emily is Andy's mom, and the hat is the proof. This is one of those theories that starts small, and then you can't stop thinking about it. In Toy Story 2, the flashback of Emily and Jessie shows Emily wearing a red hat. Not the classic brown cowboy hat Woody wears, a red one. Unique, specific. Now look at Andy in Toy Story 1. He wears the same red hat, the same design, just older and more worn, like something that had been passed down through a family over years. Here's what makes this more than a coincidence. Andy didn't own Jessie at that point in the story. He had no reason to have a cowgirl's hat. The only way that hat ends up on Andy's head is if someone who already owned it gave it to him. Someone like his mother. Andy's mom is Emily. She grew up with Jessie, let her go, and somewhere along the way passed her hat to her son, not knowing she was passing down a piece of the toy she'd once loved most. And when Jessie is eventually reunited with the hat, through Andy, through Bonnie, she was always moving back toward the family she came from. Number 9, Mr. Potato Head has a hive mind, and his mouth is in charge. Here's something about Mr. Potato Head that will make you look at him completely differently. We already know his body parts can move independently. We see that throughout the films, but Toy Story 3 takes it further. He transfers his entire self into a tortilla. His pieces don't need his potato body to function. They work on their own. And here's where it gets strange. When he first becomes a tortilla, watch how his pieces attach themselves. They don't move as a group. They approach from completely different angles, independently, like separate creatures converging on a single point. Each piece is acting on its own. Then, when a bird tears him apart, he's able to coordinate multiple pieces simultaneously, even from a distance. And most tellingly, one half of him physically nudges the other half to get its attention, which means when they're separated, they can't communicate normally. They need physical contact to coordinate. So here's the conclusion that follows from all of this. Mr. Potato Head isn't one consciousness in a body. He's a hive, multiple independent parts, each with its own awareness, operating under the direction of a central coordinator. And since he's the most opinionated, loudest, most outspoken toy in the entire franchise, the coordinator is almost certainly his mouth. Mr. Potato Head isn't a toy with removable parts. He's a colony, and his mouth has been running the whole operation this entire time. Number 10. The 1995 animation was a marvel, and the comparison will shock you. Did you ever notice that Toy Story 1 barely shows human faces? Mostly arms, legs, partial shots, almost never a full face in close-up. That wasn't an artistic choice. It was a hardware limitation. In 1995, rendering a realistic human face was so computationally expensive that Pixar simply couldn't afford to do it properly, so they wrote around it. They framed shots carefully. They kept humans at a distance. Now compare the dog from Toy Story 1 to the cat from Toy Story 4. The fur alone in Toy Story 4 required computing power that didn't exist when the original film was made. The 1995 dog looks like a rough sketch next to it. And and Bo Peep, her redesign from film 1 to film 4 is almost unrecognizable. Same character, completely different level of detail. Here's what makes this genuinely astonishing. The computers that rendered Toy Story 1, the machines that took months to process those frames, are now less powerful than the phone in your pocket. The first fully computer-animated film in history was made on hardware weaker than your phone, and it still made people cry. That's not just impressive animation. That's one of the greatest technical achievements in the history of film, made by people who were figuring it out as they went. And that's it! Which one hit you hardest? A theory you never considered, a hidden detail, or something that changed how you see the whole franchise? Let me know in the comments. If you want the next part, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed, because we're uncovering even more Toy Story secrets next time.